The Galactic Alliance had long been a beacon of stability in an otherwise volatile galaxy. Comprised of diverse species, each with its own unique culture, biology, and abilities, the Alliance had managed to maintain a delicate peace. They operated through diplomacy and collaboration, each member contributing its strengths and benefiting from shared knowledge and resources. This cooperation had sustained them through minor conflicts and tensions, but now they faced an enemy unlike any they had encountered, the Vyrex. The Vyrex were a mysterious species that had emerged from an uncharted region of the galaxy. They were a terrifying force, known for their crystalline, nearly transparent skin that gave them a ghostly appearance. Their eyes, black and unreadable, observed the galaxy's other races with a cold, calculating intelligence. Little was known about their origins, but their expansionist ambitions were clear. They sought to control, to dominate, and to subjugate. The Vyrex thrived on conquest, absorbing knowledge and adapting strategies from every species they encountered, growing stronger with each victory. The Alliance quickly learned that the Vyrex were not to be underestimated. Their technology was advanced, their strategies ruthless, and their soldiers relentless. The Vyrex fought with a precision and cruelty that unsettled even the most battle-hardened generals in the Alliance. Worse still, the Vyrex seemed to possess an uncanny ability to identify and exploit the weaknesses of their opponents. When they turned their attention to the Alliance, they did so with the full intention of dismantling it piece by piece. In response, the Alliance mobilized its finest troops. Species from across the galaxy came together, forming a coalition army that represented the combined strength of many worlds. From the armored Zarnax, whose scales could repel most energy weapons, to the swift Krelltau, who could manipulate magnetic fields, each species brought its own strengths to the front lines. Among these forces were human battalions, though they were often underestimated by their allies. Humans were viewed as fragile compared to other species. Unlike the armored Zarnax, they had no natural defenses. Unlike the Krelltau, they could not manipulate energy fields. What they did have was a certain resilience that intrigued their allies. Human adaptability and their ability to endure in extreme conditions were well known, though many saw this as a survival trait rather than a combat advantage. To most, humans seemed better suited for logistics or support roles than for the brutalities of frontline combat. But the humans, undeterred, joined the ranks of the Alliance forces on the coastal planet Aquia, a strategic location rich in resources the Vyrex wanted. The battle for Aquia would be one of the first direct confrontations between the Vyrex and the Alliance, and tensions were high. The Alliance had fortified positions along the coast, with bunkers and artillery placements overlooking the shores where they expected the Vyrex to strike. The air was thick with anticipation as soldiers prepared for battle, calibrating weapons, reviewing battle plans, and bracing for what was to come. The Vyrex had studied the Alliance forces carefully, analyzing the biology of each species to understand their vulnerabilities. One common weakness stood out. Almost every species in the Alliance was vulnerable to water-based attacks. The armored Zarnax, for all their resilience, could not withstand prolonged submersion. The Krelltau's energy manipulation was rendered useless in water. The Vyrex recognized this vulnerability and devised a weapon tailored to exploit it: water bombs. These bombs were no ordinary explosives. The Vyrex had engineered them to detonate mid-air, releasing high-pressure jets of water that could pierce through even the toughest organic armor. The initial impact was followed by a wave of water, creating a vortex that would trap and submerge any soldier in the vicinity, cutting off their air supply and incapacitating them within seconds. To most species, this weapon was a death sentence. No armor or natural defense could withstand the overwhelming pressure and suffocating force of the water bombs. When the Vyrex launched their assault, they did so with brutal precision. Hundreds of water bombs were launched from the Vyrex ships hovering above Aquia, filling the air with a deadly, hissing sound as they fell toward the Alliance ranks. The bombs detonated in rapid succession, each explosion releasing torrents of high-pressure water that flooded the battlefield. Within seconds, chaos erupted. Alliance soldiers were thrown off their feet, swept up in waves of water that dragged them down. The Zarnax warriors, whose scales could deflect energy blasts, found themselves helpless as the water forced its way into every crevice of their armor. The Krell, who had prepared to deflect plasma attacks, struggled to breathe, their delicate bodies overwhelmed by the crushing weight of water. Soldiers gasped for air, panicked, their movements slowed and disoriented by the relentless surge. The Vyrex watched from above, their black, unfeeling eyes observing the destruction they had wrought with detached satisfaction. They had anticipated a swift, decisive victory. The Alliance, they thought, was too vulnerable to withstand this level of assault. The battlefield was a scene of devastation, with alien soldiers collapsing under the merciless onslaught of water, their bodies pulled under by the powerful currents. As the Vyrex prepared to press their advantage, they noticed something that stopped them in their tracks. In the midst of the chaos, a battalion of human soldiers stood their ground. The humans had been caught in the center of the Vyrex's water bomb assault, surrounded on all sides by the torrents of high-pressure water. But instead of being swept away or overwhelmed, they were moving, pushing forward, shielding each other, using improvised techniques to endure the assault. Some knelt and braced against the pressure, digging their boots into the ground, while others linked arms to hold their position. As the Vyrex bombs continued to detonate around them, releasing wave after wave of crushing water, the humans adapted. Years of training in extreme environments, Earth's rich history of naval warfare, and rigorous survival drills had prepared them for harsh conditions. Many of these soldiers had trained to survive in rough seas, hold their breath for extended periods, and endure high-pressure environments. What the Vyrex had designed to be a sure-kill weapon was instead met with resilience and ingenuity. The humans broke up into small squads, each team adapting to the conditions with surprising speed. Captain Elena Torres, one of the human leaders on the ground, quickly assessed the situation and began coordinating her troops. She instructed her soldiers to form a staggered line, with the strongest in front, shielding the weaker from the brunt of the water blasts. "Hold your ground," she shouted over the roar of the water. "Protect each other and move forward." The humans moved as a single, cohesive unit, pushing forward against the assault. They used their bodies as shields, helping those who stumbled, dragging comrades who had been swept off their feet back into formation. The soldiers who had prepared for air combat shifted their tactics, utilizing their survival skills to manage the conditions on the ground. They maintained their composure, breathing in short, controlled bursts to conserve air, their faces determined as they fought through the relentless downpour. The Vyrex, watching from their hovering ships, were taken aback. They had never seen such a response to their water bombs. Every species they had encountered in the past had crumbled under the pressure of this weapon. But here were humans, refusing to yield, pressing forward with unwavering resolve. The Vyrex commanders exchanged concerned glances, realizing that their perfect weapon was not as foolproof as they had believed. For the Alliance soldiers who managed to witness the humans' resilience through the chaos, the sight was astonishing. Many had heard tales of human adaptability, but this was the first time they had seen it in action. Human soldiers moved through the flooding water as if they were born to it, their movements steady and controlled, their faces set in expressions of fierce determination. Even as the water bombs continued to fall, the humans held their ground, helping fallen allies, creating makeshift barriers from debris, and shielding the more vulnerable species from the onslaught. Amidst the chaos, Captain Torres noticed a group of Zarnax soldiers struggling to stand under the weight of the water. Without hesitation, she signaled her squad to form a protective wall around them. "We're all in this together," she shouted to the Zarnax, her voice steady and reassuring. "We'll get through this if we work together." The Zarnax, though wary of the humans' fragility, felt a new respect for them as they watched the human soldiers withstand the Vyrex's brutal assault. These fragile humans, whom they had once considered too delicate for such a battle, were proving to be the strongest among them. They formed a new line with the humans, using their combined strength to resist the onslaught of water, slowly moving forward as one. For the Vyrex, the scene unfolding on Aquia was unfathomable. They had designed the water bombs to be lethal, a weapon that no organic soldier could withstand. And yet, here were humans, creatures they had dismissed as frail, enduring their onslaught with resilience and tenacity. The Vyrex commanders, unable to comprehend this unexpected turn of events, hesitated, their confidence shaken. By the time the water bomb assault finally ceased, the humans had made a significant advance across the battlefield. They regrouped, helping their alien allies to their feet, sharing breath control techniques and tips for managing water shock. The Vyrex, unprepared for this level of resilience, began to fall back, their initial advantage eroding as the Alliance forces rallied around the human battalion. The First Battle of Aquia marked a turning point in the war against the Vyrex. News of the humans' resilience spread quickly through the Alliance, and with it came a newfound respect for their tenacity. The Vyrex. The Battle of Aquia had shown the Galactic Alliance something they hadn't anticipated. The humans could withstand conditions that would break most other species. News of the humans' endurance in the face of the Vyrex water bomb assault spread across the galaxy, reaching the command centers of allied species and sparking both admiration and disbelief. Most Alliance species had been shocked by the Vyrex's brutal new weapon, but for humans, the water bombs represented a challenge they were willing to face. Humanity's resilience and quick adaptation on Aquia became a beacon of hope for the struggling Alliance. Back on the Alliance base, strategists and military leaders gathered to analyze the humans' response to the Vyrex water bombs. The initial reports confirmed that human physiology and mental fortitude were key factors in their survival. Unlike most alien species, humans had evolved on a planet with diverse climates and extreme environmental conditions. Humanity's history of oceanic exploration, survival training, and familiarity with both high-pressure and submerged environments had given them a surprising edge. It was an advantage that few species in the Alliance had ever needed to cultivate, and it turned out to be a defining factor in their ability to endure the Vyrex assault. The Vyrex, however, were not easily deterred. Angered by the unexpected resilience of the human forces, they escalated their tactics. The Vyrex commanders doubled down, ordering their scientists to intensify the water bombs, increasing both the pressure and the quantity of each blast. They upgraded their weapons, deploying variations of the bombs that released high-pressure water jets capable of slicing through armor, creating localized whirlpools, and triggering floods designed to sweep the battlefield clean. To the Vyrex, the increased ferocity of their assault was necessary to overwhelm the humans and crush the morale of the Alliance forces. But humanity was already preparing to face this new onslaught. Captain Elena Torres, who had led the human battalion during the initial Vyrex attack, became a key figure in the Alliance's counter-strategy. She had earned the respect of both her human soldiers and the alien officers who witnessed her bravery on Aquia. Now, as the humans regrouped and planned, Torres took command of a new training program focused on survival in high-pressure, water-filled environments. Her mission was to equip not only humans, but also willing alien allies with the skills to withstand the deadly conditions created by the Vyrex water bombs. Under Captain Torres's direction, the human battalions established a rigorous training regimen. Soldiers practiced breath control, learning to conserve air and slow their heart rates. They trained to remain calm and maintain situational awareness while submerged, conditions that could cause most soldiers to panic. They even practiced rapid armor adjustments, attaching drainage channels to help expel water, and adding quick-release clasps that would allow them to shed heavy equipment if they were submerged unexpectedly. As Torres guided her soldiers, she emphasized the importance of mental fortitude as much as physical resilience. "We don't know when or where they'll attack next," Torres told her troops during one training session, her voice carrying a calm authority. "But we do know what to expect. The Vyrex are counting on us to break. They think that water will slow us down, drown us, and wash us away. But we're going to prove that nothing, not even the depths of the ocean, can break us." The training was grueling, but the soldiers' spirits were high. Every drill, every difficult breath, every submerged obstacle course reminded them of what they were fighting for. Over time, the other species within the Alliance began to take note of the humans' methods. Though they had originally been skeptical, seeing humans endure conditions that had once seemed unbearable convinced many to join the training. They sought out the humans' guidance, eager to learn from them. Torres and her team became instructors not only for their fellow humans, but also for alien soldiers willing to try the new techniques. Each species adapted differently. The armored Zarnax, with their thick scales, had difficulty with the water bomb's pressure, but began experimenting with reinforced armor plates modified by human engineers to allow for better drainage. The Krelltal, who relied on their energy manipulation abilities, struggled to maintain their power while submerged. Humans taught them to focus on the fundamentals of breath control, grounding techniques, and calmness under pressure. Though they couldn't match the humans' resistance, they learned enough to endure longer, and their confidence grew. On the front lines, these new skills were put to the test. In the following battles, the Vyrex unleashed wave after wave of intensified water bomb attacks, filling the air with the hissing detonations of high-pressure jets. The battlefield became a chaotic deluge as the bombs detonated, flooding the ground, creating whirlpools, and battering the soldiers with wave after wave of crushing water. The landscape was transformed into a nightmarish, waterlogged terrain where the only sounds were the rush of water and the muffled shouts of soldiers trying to hold their ground. The humans, however, were ready. They had transformed their armor, their techniques, and their mindset, becoming like the very waters that sought to sweep them away, adaptable, fluid, and relentless. When the bombs exploded, they moved as one, positioning their bodies to absorb the blasts, using hand signals to communicate through the water, forming human shields around more vulnerable allies. Alien soldiers, who had once struggled in the water, now fought beside the humans, moving with newfound confidence, knowing they had learned the skills to endure the Vyrex's assault. Captain Torres was a constant presence on the battlefield, directing her forces with precision and calm. She had earned a reputation as the anchor, a symbol of strength and stability for her soldiers. Even when the water bombs struck directly around her, she stood firm, her face set with determination as she rallied her troops, her voice carrying over the roar of water. "Hold fast," she commanded, her voice strong. "We are stronger than their weapons. We are stronger than anything they can throw at us." The Vyrex watched in mounting frustration. Each new wave of water bombs had been carefully designed to break the humans, to drown their resolve and leave them weakened. Yet time and again, the humans not only survived, but continued to advance. The Vyrex commanders, growing desperate, deployed larger units, increasing their attacks in an effort to overwhelm the human forces. The Alliance's morale soared as they witnessed the humans standing strong under the relentless water assaults. In the midst of each flood, humans and aliens alike found new strength in each other. The once divided species, inspired by humanity's resilience, began forming close-knit units that blended their individual strengths. The Zarnax stood shoulder to shoulder with the humans, their armored bodies absorbing impacts, while the Krelltal used their energy fields to stabilize areas of the battlefield, protecting their allies from being swept away. For the Vyrex, this unexpected alliance presented an insurmountable obstacle. They had designed their strategy based on the assumption that the Alliance forces would be divided and vulnerable, that the humans' endurance was an anomaly rather than a source of unity. But they were wrong. The humans had not only survived, but had shown the entire Alliance what it meant to endure. Their resilience had become a rallying cry, a shared strength that bridged the gaps between species and united them in a way that the Vyrex had never anticipated. The tide was turning. For the first time since the start of the Vyrex invasion, the Alliance gained ground. The combined forces, strengthened by their new training and mutual respect, launched a counteroffensive. Under Captain Torres's guidance, they pushed forward, reclaiming territory and dismantling the Vyrex outposts one by one. As the Vyrex realized their water bombs had lost their advantage, panic began to spread among their ranks. The Vyrex, once so confident in their superiority, found themselves outmaneuvered and outmatched by the very species they had sought to crush. The Vyrex leaders, furious and humiliated, retreated to their warships, frantically recalibrating their strategies. They had underestimated humanity's resilience, and the consequences were undeniable. The humans, with their adaptability and tenacity, had proven that strength was not solely about physical power, but about the will to endure against all odds. For the Alliance, the battles on Aquia became a defining moment. Humanity's example had shown them a new kind of strength, one not defined by armor, speed, or size, but by sheer resolve. As word of the humans' resilience spread, soldiers from every species began to adopt the mantra that had kept humanity going: endure, adapt, overcome. As Captain Torres and her battalion gathered at the edge of the Vyrex's last stronghold on Aquia, they prepared for the final assault. The humans, still standing tall and ready for battle, exchanged nods with their alien allies, each one aware that they had become part of something greater than themselves, a force united by respect, resilience, and a common cause. The final assault on the Vyrex stronghold was about to begin, and this time, the Alliance knew they would not face it alone. With the Vyrex's water bombs rendered less effective by the humans' resilience and ingenuity, the Galactic Alliance prepared for a full-scale counteroffensive to retake the planet of Aquia. Morale was higher than it had been in months. The once divided Alliance forces were now unified, inspired by humanity's unbreakable spirit. Across the front lines, soldiers from every species now echoed a new rallying cry: endure, adapt, overcome. The humans had shown them that survival and resilience were just as potent as any advanced weaponry. Alliance commanders met in their newly fortified base on Aquia, poring over battle maps and discussing strategies for the final push against the Vyrex stronghold. At the center of the strategy was Captain Elena Torres, the human officer whose leadership had been instrumental in surviving the Vyrex water bomb onslaught. She stood before her assembled troops, composed of humans and alien allies alike, each one ready to bring the fight to the Vyrex. Captain Torres outlined their plan with a precision and clarity that had earned her the respect of the entire Alliance. The Vyrex thought their weapons would weaken us, she said, her voice steady and confident. They didn't count on our strength. Today, we push them back. Today, we take Aquia. The plan was ambitious. The Vyrex still held powerful defensive positions around their main base, including advanced shield generators that repelled standard Alliance weaponry. But after studying the Vyrex fortifications, human engineers devised a risky plan to infiltrate their shield generator stations and dismantle them from within. These stations were heavily guarded, deep within enemy territory, but Torres believed that a small, fast-moving strike team could slip through and disable the shields, creating an opening for a full assault on the Vyrex base. Volunteers poured in from every species, inspired to join the strike team. It was no longer just the humans who wanted to confront the Vyrex head-on. Soldiers from the armored Zarnax, the swift Krelltau, and even the aquatic Wildrake, who had initially struggled with the water bombs, offered their support, eager to show their own resilience. Torres selected the team carefully, balancing each member's strengths for a diverse and adaptable unit. Among them were soldiers who had trained under her during the water bomb raids, their skills honed through hours of intense survival drills. The infiltration was set for nightfall, when Aquia's 2 moons provided enough light for visibility, but not so much as to expose the team's movements. They moved through the shadows, slipping past Vyrex patrols with silent precision. Torres led the way, her senses heightened by months of combat and survival. Her team followed close behind, each soldier moving in sync, using hand signals to communicate and staying alert to the slightest sound or movement. As they neared the first shield generator, they encountered their first obstacle: a line of Vyrex guards, crystalline forms glinting under the moonlight. These guards were vigilant, their eyes scanning the darkness. Torres quickly signaled to her team, and they split into small units, each taking a different approach to the generator. The humans and Zarnax engaged the guards directly, their combined strength overwhelming the Vyrex defenses, while the Krelltau used their energy manipulation abilities to disarm the control systems. Within minutes, they breached the generator and set to work dismantling it. The Alliance engineers, working swiftly and silently, bypassed the generator's security mechanisms. With each wire cut, the generator's power waned, until finally, it shut down completely. A soft hum filled the air as the shield barrier weakened, a signal to the main Alliance force waiting nearby. Torres tapped her communicator, signaling the first successful takedown. One generator down, 3 more to go. The team moved on to the second generator, but the Vyrex were now alerted to the intrusion. An alarm sounded throughout the base, and Vyrex reinforcements poured in, surrounding the generator and fortifying their defenses. Torres's team pressed forward, fighting their way through the Vyrex soldiers with a mix of precision and ferocity. The Vyrex, though accustomed to their own brutal combat style, were unprepared for the humans' resilience and the adaptability of their allies. Each time the Vyrex soldiers thought they had cornered Torres's team, the humans and their alien allies countered with clever tactics, using every piece of cover, every scrap of terrain to their advantage. In the chaos of battle, Torres fought with relentless determination, her movements swift and calculated. She coordinated her team's attacks, signaling for the Krelltau to create distractions while the Zarnak soldiers used their brute strength to plow through Vyrex lines. The team moved as a single, cohesive unit, each member relying on the other's strengths. The Krelltau, though initially vulnerable to the Vyrex's water tactics, adapted to the fast-paced combat, using their energy manipulation to disrupt the Vyrex's weapons, while the Wildrake soldiers used their aquatic skills to navigate the areas where the Vyrex had flooded the terrain. Finally, they reached the second generator and disabled it, weakening the base's shield even further. With each generator that fell, the main Alliance force, led by commanders who had trained under Torres, advanced closer to the Vyrex stronghold. The Vyrex, realizing that their water bombs had lost their psychological edge, scrambled to reinforce their defenses, but the Alliance's relentless advance was unstoppable. As Torres's team approached the third generator, they encountered the Vyrex commander, a towering figure, clad in crystalline armor that refracted light in a dazzling display. This commander was both powerful and cunning, wielding a high-energy weapon designed to counter any Alliance tactics. The Vyrex commander recognized Torres immediately, realizing she was the one responsible for the Alliance's resilience. Determined to eliminate the human symbol of hope, he ordered his forces to focus on her, unleashing a relentless barrage of firepower. But Torres and her team were undeterred. They fought with everything they had, evading the Vyrex's attacks and striking back with calculated precision. Torres confronted the Vyrex commander directly, engaging him in a brutal hand-to-hand fight. The Vyrex commander, though larger and armored, was unprepared for Torres's agility and endurance. She dodged his attacks, using every ounce of her training and experience, striking at weak points in his armor and exploiting his lack of adaptability. Meanwhile, her team worked to disable the third generator, knowing that the fate of the battle depended on them. As they dismantled the controls, they could feel the ground shake from the force of the main Alliance assault closing in. One by one, the generator circuits fell silent, the energy field flickering and failing as the shield weakened further. With the third generator down, the Vyrex's defenses were crumbling. Finally, Torres delivered a decisive blow to the Vyrex commander, sending him staggering backward. With a final push, her team took out the last generator, collapsing the entire shield system. A cheer erupted from the main Alliance force as the shields dropped, signaling the beginning of the final assault. The Alliance's combined forces surged forward, pouring into the Vyrex base with an unstoppable wave of determination. As the battle raged around them, Torres's team regrouped, their bodies bruised and weary, but their spirits unbroken. They joined the final push, fighting side by side with their allies, each one emboldened by the unity and resilience that had carried them through the darkest moments of the battle. Together, humans and aliens fought with a level of coordination and camaraderie that left the Vyrex reeling. In the end, the Vyrex base fell, their forces scattered and broken. The Alliance emerged victorious, their banners flying proudly over the remnants of the Vyrex's stronghold. The humans, whose resilience had inspired the entire Alliance, were hailed as heroes, their endurance and adaptability proving that strength was not limited to physical might alone, but to the unbreakable will to survive and protect one another. Captain Torres stood with her team, looking out over the battlefield with a sense of hard-won pride. The planet of Aquia, once a symbol of the Vyrex's dominance, had become a testament to the strength of unity and resilience. Torres's leadership and humanity's spirit had turned the tide of the war, showing the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with. As the sun set on Aquia, casting the battlefield in a warm, golden light, the Alliance soldiers gathered to honor their victory. They stood side by side, each species united by a common purpose and a respect that transcended borders. Torres, though weary from battle, felt a sense of hope for the future. She had witnessed firsthand the power of resilience and the strength of alliances forged in adversity. The Vyrex, once a fearsome enemy, had been defeated, their forces retreating back into the uncharted regions of space. The Alliance knew that other battles lay ahead, but now they were prepared to face them with the resilience and unity that had carried them through the hardest of trials. And as they prepared to return home, every soldier carried with them the lesson they had learned on Aquia, a lesson inspired by humanity and Captain Torres. Endure. Adapt. Overcome.